The most successful entrepreneurs I know aren't fearless. They're fear-powered. While everyone else is trying to eliminate fear, top performers have learned to transform it into rocket fuel for breakthrough decisions. What if your biggest fear is actually your biggest opportunity? Right now, you're probably avoiding that one big move in your business because it feels too risky, too uncertain. Here's what most people don't know. 73% of successful entrepreneurs say their biggest breakthrough came immediately after a terrifying decision. Your fear isn't warning you that you're away from success. It's pointing the direction towards it. Every day you spend managing fear instead of leveraging it costs lost opportunity. The average daily revenue difference between fear-driven and fear-powered business 6 months from now will be either celebrating scary decisions that changed everything or still wondering what if. The question isn't whether you feel fear, it's what you do in the next 10 seconds after you feel it. We've all been down this way, that challenges all of a sudden come up. You're sitting there and you are frozen with indecision. You're frozen with fear, and what you do next is the most important thing. Now, I used to do a lot of ice climbing and a lot of mountain climbing before my son came around, and one of the great things about it is it really brings out the true meaning of life. You're up on a mountain, you're tied in, you're moving, you're active, but you're also having to evaluate risk on a regular basis. And I can remember being on a set of crampons, looking down a crevasse, and what I was supposed to do was walk across this aluminum ladder with shoes that had massive crampons on it. And the biggest challenge there isn't the walking. You've been doing that for days. The biggest challenge isn't the balance. You've got a rope to hang on to and you're tied in. The biggest challenge is getting your brain to take the first step. That first step, basically looking into the abyss and to take that first step. And I don't care if you've done it 1,000 times or your first time, looking down into this massive pit of ice with this little aluminum ladder and these basically moon boots with big old spikes on them is scary. And you have to take that, recognize that that fear is there to protect you and make you think about it, but it is not necessarily there to stop you. Our fear is a good thing. It recognizes, and our subconscious brings that up because there may be something wrong, but it's our conscious mind that needs to deal with it. And therefore, you have to take a deep breath, and you got to take the first step. And then you got to take the second step, and then the third. But it's that first step that's the hardest. It's the first step. If the first step in anything we do is the challenge, it's taking that first big step, and the next will come, and the next will come. And if we don't take these risks, if we don't come out to the green area of growth, of the challenge, we start to diminish. Our bodies are designed not to deal with the corporate pressures of today, the digital world, but in a much more simple world where everything was black and white. So stepping out into the world, into the climbing where you're bundled up and you've been walking and you're tired or possibly dehydrated and you have to make those choices. They're hard, but they also show you that you can make that choice and move forward. And the power of that is absolutely astounding. We're able to move forward and all of a sudden take a risk. Now, we're tied in, so God forbid we fall, we'll still be there. And in many ways, the psychological risks of a business are exactly the same way. You know, if we take these risks, we may not succeed. But if we do, those are the great risks, the great challenges. There's a classic story of FedEx where the head of finance for FedEx, or possibly the president, I don't remember which, was not able to make payroll. And so they took the money they had and went to Las Vegas and won just enough to make payroll and came back. And they've never gambled again. That's a massive risk. Not something I would ever suggest, especially with other people's money. But it was a risk they took to keep that company going. We as entrepreneurs spend a lot of time trying to figure that out. We as entrepreneurs will have a higher risk tolerance than most. The insanity of things we do to get our business off the ground, most people would never do. But the beauty of that is we understand that risk and we take it. We've taken that step. We've moved forward. And once we move forward, we get a little momentum, and that momentum really helps. In fact, what we see is the ability to keep moving forward and take that risk actually diminishes for us because we can make that happen. The power of just understanding that simple idea gives you the ability to generate all sorts of things. And most companies are generated on that idea. Let's try it. Let's move forward. One of my dear friends that I go climbing with all the time is basically like, yeah, let's go try that. In fact, he and I work really well together because we both have that kind of let's explore it, figure out how we can get it done mentality. The power that creates and the ability to create new things as an entrepreneur is invaluable. But if we let our fear hold us back, we will never get to that cutting edge. And in fact, if we're held back, we start to diminish. So I'd love you to think about other examples of people who have taken that step and what they've succeeded on. Because what we want to do is build our brain the idea that that step is important, that fear is an indication we're moving in the right direction. It's absolutely a time to think about it, but it's also a time to step back and say, wait, I get that little tingle. Maybe that's my growth area. Maybe that's the way I need to grow. Maybe that's exactly how I move forward. And in many ways, that is the trigger that makes us grow, makes us build, and makes all of us better. I truly believe that entrepreneurs can save the world, but what we need to do is we need to take that step, no matter what the risk is, staring down at the abyss and looking forward. So do me a favor, when you get a minute, think about another person that took a risk and put it in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation. I look forward to talking to you later. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode on the Strategy Session, where we take your business from stuck to unstoppable. Here's another video I think you'd enjoy. If you found these insights valuable, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell for notifications on our latest videos. Remember, you're not just marketing, you're making history with Venture Gained.